Welcome to the Library of Humanity. Today we're looking at whether or not you can trust your thoughts. So in order to think about trusting your thoughts, what are your thoughts and what creates your thoughts and where do they originate from? And who is the creator? Is it you or is it society or is it kind of human history that has created these ideas and now you're living in this particular context in human history? And that whole system of human history is creating like this story or belief system that many people carry in their minds today. And so your mind is like this area or space that thoughts can enter into. And even you as the individual or the consciousness observes the mind. So the mind has all of these different thoughts that is coming from actually the environment and your nature and nurture. So the environment is nurture, and then your nature is like your biology, which is basically your Homo sapienness, your humanity. So by combining the structure in your brain and your body with you interacting with your environment, the ideas and thoughts that are entering into your mind are actually coming from the environment and society and culture, because a lot of these thoughts it's like recycled. The themes of your thoughts are recycled, and so everyone is just kind of bouncing ideas off of each other. And that's kind of how, I guess, stories and society even is working, is that we're all just kind of borrowing beliefs with each other and values. Like in the United States, maybe we value freedom a lot. So that idea of freedom is we're lending and borrowing a lot of these values and beliefs. So, and another thing is that, have you ever had an original thought in your life? Is it you, so you the observer of your thoughts, have you ever created that thought? So, because if you really analyze your thoughts, where are they coming from? They are just appearing in your mind. You don't initiate the thoughts. The thing that is observing the mind, the energy kind of behind your eyes and in between your ears, that energy, who can even observe the brain, whatever that is, the I am, is observing the mind and the thoughts, and it's not creating the thoughts. The thoughts just appear out of somewhere, right? And so that somewhere is actually the environment, or like the now moment of the environment. The moment here, the moment is creating these thoughts, and they just kind of enter your mind's eye, and then you kind of watch it like a movie. So you watch the thoughts like a movie. And so that's exactly how you go through your day, is that these thoughts are appearing, and you believe that you are the thoughts. So you kind of forget that, oh yeah, I'm the background to the thoughts, or I'm the energy that's observing the thoughts. And so it's very relaxing when you realize that thoughts are coming from like society and the influence of society. So like if you have a thought in your mind that appears and it's like a racist thought, but then you realize, well, that's not really my thought, because society and our history as Americans or Europeans or Latin America, it's heavily influenced by racism in the past. And that history is here today. So there's racist thoughts that appear from our subconscious mind. And our subconscious mind is kind of like the storage for a lot of thoughts that we don't really want to have. They're kind of scary thoughts that appear into your conscious from the subconscious. And your subconscious is it's been influenced heavily by your family and friends and society as a whole. So can you trust that? Like, what does it mean to trust anything, for example? But if you're trying to trust your thoughts, why would you trust society? So we kind of learned that your thoughts are the product of society. But why would you trust society? What is the purpose of it, right? It's really to figure out, how can I be happy? How can I be happy, and how can I know that this is real and true? So those are the three keys: is it true, is it real, and does it make me happy, like internally or from my subjective experience? Am I truly happy? And that takes honesty. Does does my lifestyle make me happy? Is my lifestyle real, and is my lifestyle true? And not just your lifestyle, but like your belief system. So so thoughts are going to enter your mind, and then you're going to cut the thought at the root, and you're going to say, do I believe that thought? So maybe a racist thought comes in, and then you cut it at the root and say, no, that thought is not true. And the reason why it's not true is because I know that it came from society and kind of the uglier side of society. And even like the beautiful side of society, like how much can you trust it? Does it make me happy? Is it real, and is it true? And so you have to analyze this for every thought that is coming into your mind and trying to find the root of each thought. What is the root? And then you label it and you say, okay, that's not real, or that's not true, and that thought doesn't make me happy. That thought, a lot of the thoughts are actually like your ego trying to have an agenda. Like your ego wants to be a powerful, influential person or character in this society. So that is the goal of like your thoughts, is like, how can I kind of manipulate the system so that I can become more powerful and influential in society, and have a big presence in society. And that might even be like, oh, I want to be, a boss at a nonprofit organization that's doing a lot of good, but that's an agenda to go up the ranks. So you as an ego want to go up the ranks, and ultimately you have to know that gaining more power and prestige in society doesn't make you ultimately happy. It's not ultimately real, and it's not ultimately true. So you have to figure out, okay, so the thoughts that are currently entering my mind aren't going to bring me eternal or forever happiness. So what kind of thoughts do I need to have that will bring eternal peace and happiness, and I will know is real and true in my heart? So what can I trust? Should I trust these thoughts that are connected to my ego, or should I trust like the beautiful energy that is here in my heart and kind of here in my the I am sense, like me as the I am that is observing the thoughts and observing the mind and observing the ego. So you have to start seeing that, okay, there's an ego here that is trying to have an agenda in society, but I can't be that because I can watch that happen. And that ego doesn't make me happy. So that's one of the main things, is a lot of the thoughts in your mind come from your ego, and your ego is not going to bring you happiness, permanent happiness. It's going to make you happy for a little bit, and then you're going to have suffering because you're attached to the ego. So the nature of the ego is a little bit of happiness and then a little bit of suffering, and it just goes back and forth between happiness and suffering because you're always looking for that next little thing or relationship that's going to make you happy in the moment for a while. But then you have to go inside and say, what is real about my subjective experience? What is real? And what is real is that you've realized, I have always been I am. I have always been the experiencer or the observer of this reality. So where is that center point of I am? So instead of focusing kind of on these objects and these relationships and this money and this ego that doesn't bring you a lot of happiness, you have to go inside of yourself to discover and bring your attention back to I am. So instead of going this way and outward, you go inward and you kind of sit at the throne of the I am. So you can kind of imagine like a very stoic king or queen on their throne, kind of like this, sitting and not doing anything, but just kind of basking in the I am, the beautiful I am. And the I am is really this throne of unchanging bliss. So you're just sitting here like this, and thoughts are going to enter your mind, but then you're going to cut them right at the root, because you know that those thoughts don't bring me happiness. So what I'm going to do is cut those thoughts off and know that those thoughts are coming from a society that has its ups and downs. Like our society is good in many ways, but bad in other ways. So you have to see that, well, what is real and true and gives me all of the happiness that I want in life? And not even the I want, it's the living as happiness. So you live as happiness, not like I'm seeking happiness out here in the world. You go back towards the I am, and you sit at the throne, the beautiful throne of pure happiness, here, now. It's always here and now because it's always I am, because you've never not been I am. You've always been right here. And so that's where the trust needs to happen, is what is the most real and true from your subjective experience, without borrowing ideas from your thoughts and from the thoughts that are borrowing the thoughts from society or from human culture. So you need to see that human culture has not brought permanent happiness to most people. So you have to see that people are different than society. Society is this structure or belief system that is supposed to perpetuate itself and ignoring the actual happiness of the people. So like a good government actually worries about the welfare of the people rather than the welfare of the government itself trying to gain more and more power. And that's actually how your ego works as well, as your ego wants to gain more and more power and ignore the permanent happiness that the I am is. The I am is not seeking, it just is happiness. So that's why you have to sit back on your throne of the I am here and now, rather than connecting with your ego that is searching for the happiness and the suffering and fear in the outside world. And the outside world being society that has created this belief system of perpetuating its own ego. So society is also an ego. It's a collective ego. And that collective ego is it's like a cult almost, in the sense that it's trying to watch out for itself rather than the welfare of all of these beings, or the I am people, or the true self. So everyone might not know it, but they're seeking ultimate happiness through their true self. But society teaches us to find happiness in society, merely, only. So it's kind of rare where you're entering into a culture where they're saying, seek happiness in the I am and not in this culture. Because often the culture is egotistical and it wants human beings to focus on the culture. So that's why you call it a collective ego. And that's where a lot of ego is in group dynamics. So you can imagine like a group can turn into a cult pretty quickly when that group has a strong ego and has this sense of us versus them. And that's how like most cultures around the world right now function, because it's us versus them. Because humans are naturally tribalistic and so there's lots of tribalism. And you can see this like if you study Scientology and how it started as a religion but then shifted to a cult because that collective ego wants to maintain its structure, and it becomes more and more of a hierarchy and more of a tribe that is fighting other tribes within and kind of vying for this power. Now, so basically happiness is the true I am that isn't seeking anything. So whenever you're seeking, you're not happy. So most thoughts in your mind, the nature of the thoughts are seeking something that isn't you for happiness. So you can't rely on something out there for you, the I am, to be happy. The only vehicle for happiness is here on the throne of I am. That's the only eternal happiness. So whenever you find yourself and your thoughts, so not yourself, but whenever you find your mind and your thoughts seeking for happiness out there, you know it's not real, it's not true, and it's not going to bring you ultimate happiness. So to wrap up, to trust means what is real. So like why would you trust something that isn't real and isn't true? So you have to educate yourself. You have to read, study, meditate to figure out what is real. And that's our challenge, is to figure out what is real and true And a lot of things in society aren't real and true. So that's why we have to rely on all that I have known for certain is that I exist. That's all I have ever known for certain is the sense of I am exists. Everything else has come and gone. Everything else. Besides this moment right now. So you can only trust the I am in the moment and nothing that is impermanent. Everything else is impermanent. Water bottles, books, videos, people. These are impermanent things. But the sense of I am, and you can even see that the I am seemed to kind of exist even before I was born. So there's a sense of like being from I'm alive right now, but also there was like this something that's kind of dark that existed before I was born, but also exists kind of in between my dreams. So you're kind of aware in your dreams, but what happens in between your dreams? There's like this deep sleep, but there's still a sense of like existence, right? So to be happy, we want to be really curious by going into our just pure consciousness. Peace.